The gin craze. There was a time in British history, not ancient history mind you, where the solution to every problem, big or small, was gin. Ran out of bread? Have some gin. Baby won't stop crying? Gin. Just got fired? Gin. Lost your gin? More gin. We're talking about the early 1700s when London went absolutely feral. Gin was cheaper than beer and strong enough to knock out a donkey. People were drinking it like water. Because to be fair, the water would probably kill you faster. They called it mother's ruin. And that wasn't just poetic. Mothers were literally giving their babies gin to quiet them down. Some even sold their children to buy more. There were over 7,000 gin shops in London alone. Some didn't even have proper signage, just a wooden plaque that said, "Drunk for a penny, dead drunk for 2 pennies." It got so out of hand that Parliament had to step in with gin acts to stop people from drinking themselves into oblivion. People rioted. They weren't protesting for freedom or justice, they just wanted their bloody gin back. Guy Fawkes Night. Every year on the 5th of November, the British gather around bonfires, eat sausages, and cheerfully burn a man alive. Well, a dummy of him. His name? Guy Fawkes. What did he do? Oh, nothing too dramatic. Just tried to blow up Parliament and murder the entire government. In 1605, Fawkes and a group of Catholic conspirators stuffed 36 barrels of gunpowder in the basement of the House of Lords. Why? Because they were tired of Protestant rule. Fair enough. Was it subtle? Not remotely. It was a full-blown Michael Bay-level plot. He got caught literally sitting next to the gunpowder with matches in his pocket like a cartoon villain. So how did Britain react? With calm and understanding, of course not. We declared a national holiday, not to honour Fawkes, mind you, but to celebrate his failure. For the last 400 years we've been teaching children to build effigies, stick them on a fire and shout "burn him," all while eating toffee apples and pretending it's normal, digging up Oliver Cromwell's corpse. So picture this. A man dies peacefully in his bed. Years later, people get so angry at what he did while he was alive, they dig up his rotting corpse, drag it through the streets, hang it like a criminal, and chop off his head, just for the drama. That man was Oliver Cromwell, the guy who led the charge in beheading King Charles I and cancelling the monarchy for a few years. Basically Britain's 1600s version of "we don't do kings anymore." But when the monarchy was restored, the royalists were fuming, and instead of letting it go like normal people, they said, "Right, dig him up." So in 1661, they exhumed Cromwell's body from Westminster Abbey, stuck it on trial posthumously, then hanged his corpse and beheaded it. They put his head on a spike outside Parliament, where it stayed for over 20 years, slowly decaying in the British weather like some twisted Halloween decoration. Eventually, the head was passed around like a party favour, owned by museums, collectors, even academics, until someone finally buried it in secret. The Great Emu War. Now, technically this happened in Australia, but let's not forget at the time, Australia was still under British rule, so this one's on us. Here's the situation. It's 1932. Australian farmers are struggling because 20,000 emus, giant angry birds that look like feathered velociraptors, are trampling their crops. So what do? Call pest control? Set up fences? No, they call the military. The British Australian government deployed soldiers with machine guns to deal with the problem. Actual soldiers with actual weapons to fight birds. They fired thousands of rounds, and the emus, they dodged, ran in zigzags, split into flanking groups like they'd been trained by Sun Tzu himself. The bullets missed, the birds survived, and the soldiers eventually ran out of ammo. They killed a few hundred emus, but most of them just kept marching like it was their land, because technically it was. The government called off the operation in defeat. The emus won. A Cock Lane ghost hoax. 1762, the age of enlightenment, scientific progress, and a full-grown city getting duped by a ghost knocking on walls. Welcome to Cock Lane, where London lost the plot. Again. So, here's the story. A young girl named Elizabeth Parsons claimed her house was haunted, but not just any ghost. The spirit of a woman named Fanny, who had apparently been murdered and was now using spooky knocking sounds to expose the truth from beyond the grave. Very Shakespeare, very EastEnders. Soon people were queuing up in the streets to hear this ghost knock. Newspapers covered it. Famous intellectuals like Samuel Johnson showed up, and it turned into a full-blown paranormal spectacle. 1 knock for yes, 2 for no. The British were literally interviewing a ghost like it was on a talk show. Eventually, investigators discovered the truth. The little girl was just hiding under the bed, cracking her toes against the wooden frame. That's it. No spirit, no murder, just toe acrobatics and a craving for attention. The Tower of London Zoo. Right, so picture this. You're strolling through London in the 1600s, just minding your business, when you stumble upon a lion. Not in a jungle, not in a circus, but in the bloody Tower of London. Because apparently King Henry III thought it would be a fun idea to turn the royal palace into a part-time zoo. Over the years, the tower housed lions, leopards, monkeys, bears, owls, and even a polar bear, which they chained to the Thames so it could fish for its own dinner. Then comes King Charles II, who thought, you know what the tower needs? An elephant. And not just any elephant, one that was fed a gallon of red wine every day. Why? Because someone told the king elephants liked wine. And that was that. The poor thing probably lived its entire life absolutely plastered. Tourists could pay to see these animals, but if you didn't have money, no worries, you could bring a cat or a dog as payment, which, by the way, were then fed to the lions. Very normal, very British.